Hey, all you little Milliweenies and Gen failures. Boomer Central here with the weather report for September 9th, 2021.
That was a very positive intro.
That was a positive intro. What are some of the, okay, there's Milliweenies, there's Gen fail, there's, what else is there?
Hey, if you say weenies, you might get a weenie.
Oh, no, we don't want that weenie. He is a Milliweenie, isn't he? Or is he?
He's a little weenie.
He's a little weenie, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So how about Maddox? Now, Maddox, this is going to be about you.
I bet you think this stream is about you, don't
You're so
you?
vain.
Don't you?
Oh, if only we had Carly to, do a little bit for us. Oh, shit.
Is she even alive anymore?
I think she is. I don't know. I haven't checked lately. That would really sadden me. I just loved her.
I have a
I had a thing
feeling.
for Carly.
I have a feeling since John Maddox is the thumbnail for this stream, he's going to be watching.
He might be watching. He might even come into the chat.
John Maddox, if you're listening, yeah, come on in, or in the side chat, and then come on in if Speed will give you a link. I can't talk. I'm pulling him in now.
Yeah. Nobody's getting a link today. Till later. Anyway, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, shit. Oh, Maddox is going to come in and tell us how dumb we are and how we got it all wrong and we misunderstood everything. Particularly the part about Charles Dawkins. The part about Charles Dawkins was pretty intense.
Charles Dawkins got everything all wrong.
I've been looking on Amazon to order his books. They must not be very popular because they don't come up. I think his nephew comes up all the time, Richard. Is that his nephew?
Hey, at least he didn't say Stephen Hawkins or Dawkins.
Yeah,
matter.
Hawkins. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is the genetic code real? Oh, debate. Okay, I'm about to share screen. And why is this taking me so long? Any idea?
How old are you?
Yeah, I'm getting up there in age, man. Like all these people asking for links out in chat, I don't really recognize their handles. I'm not sure who they're gonna what for it.
Gonna run for it?
Gonna run from it. Gonna run from it. Yeah.
I hate that guy.
I have no idea who these people are. Okay, so we got one up. This table here that he showed with the binary representation for the genetic code. Well, I'd like to know where the hell he got this, because this is kind of lame the way they did it. I don't really like the way they did it. Anyway, they arbitrarily mapped the genetic code, the actual genetic code. They arbitrarily mapped it to some binary. And as a programmer, I have a problem with the way they did it. They didn't do it right. I don't know who did this, but they didn't do it right. They did it wrong. Sorry, did it wrong. Sorry. Okay. What should we play? What part should we play? Let's see. Let's go to 55. I'm not sure what I have here. Now, everything went south around here. So what happened during this debate, the only thing, and I did kind of spot through it, but correct me if I'm wrong, all Maddox did was play a couple videos of his, and they didn't work because his internet connection was screwed up.
Yep.
And then it would be Jeffrey's turn, and Jeffrey would, try to come back with some reasoned responses referencing the very same people that Maddox was referencing, like Yaki and Barbieri and Whitson, and then John would play another video and another video, and at some point it just all went to hell, and then John got mad, and that was kind of the end of the debate. So where was the debate exactly? Did I miss the actual debate?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he also had his when he was playing his videos, he had them sped up. And I don't know if anybody else noticed, but in the chat, in the side chat, people were requesting him to slow it down because he had it
Right.
it's because you know him, he's talked so slow that he has to. That was his own prep. It was his own video, his own voice, and he had to speed it up because he talks so damn slow.
Too slow for himself.
Yeah, exactly. So, and people couldn't understand it, and people were complaining, and
I had a hard time following his opening because of that.
Yeah.
And then it was choppy, and it kept cutting out, and his internet was screwed up, and I just
it was a mess.
Didn't know what to do. Okay, so what do we got here?
But first, I want to just get direct clarification from you. Are you the definition of metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action which is not literally applicable? So is it your position specifically that using the word code in the actual literal sense is not directly applicable to the genetic code?
A poor definition, and the word applicable is loaded here.
Okay. So is it, again, your direct position that the code is not literal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you say that something is literally something else, there is only one something else that you could be referring to, right? Or there's a most common, most accepted, most agreed upon something else that you're comparing it to.
Right.
Now, if you look at a code, like when I was a Cub Scout way back in the day, they taught us about how to create codes. And the codes were things that you created. They were arbitrary things that humans created to deceptively hide what you were trying to say. And if you had a code, decoder, you could convert it back and read what you said. But that is the literal definition of a code, that there be a code maker, intelligent code maker, basically a code writer, and then a code decoder. So there are three things, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that is a literal code. And no, DNA is not a literal code because it contains within it, the DNA sequence contains within it the mechanism to decode itself. And it decodes itself. And so there's no code maker that we can find anywhere. So every time he tries to put out this argument, what he's doing is it's begging the question. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Literal code.
And you have to demonstrate the coder, right? He's referring to a coder, and anybody brings that up. I don't know if were you going to go to that part where he freaks out when this Jeffrey guy points out that, okay, you're talking about an intelligent designer, intelligent agent, and he's talking about creationist or creationism. And John had a flippin' fit when he brought that up.
Yeah, we didn't call them ciphers. We called them codes, like Morse code, I mean, and the ASCII code, for instance, is completely arbitrary. So, I don't know. They're codes. That is a literal code. An ASCII code is a literal code so that we could encode letters into binary and put them on computer monitors. Back in the day, we only had 128 of them.
American Standard Code for Information Interchange. ASCII.
Yeah. ASCII, yeah.
When I was in 9th or 10th grade, we put that to music so that we can remember what it stood for on a test.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, okay, so Here's where I'm gonna become really unpopular here. Okay.
Oh, good. Let me get my. Hold on. Let
First
me
of all-
hover over the remove.
Yep. Hover over the mute and the remove.
Wait,
Whichever.
You're claiming some status of popularity then. by
Yeah,
implication.
Yeah.
Okay.
When were you popular?
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Questionable
That's
premise.
a fair question. When was I ever popular? Okay, so in regards to the debate, even though I probably agree with what's the guy's name? Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I agreed with a lot of his points being made about intelligent design and how it's junk science. It's not even science. And I agree with asking the question, like, well, okay, if you say it's a code, then prove that there is a coder. However, all of that stuff that he said, though I agree with it, it was, to be fair, irrelevant to the debate, because the debate wasn't about if there is a coder. The debate is DNA a literal code or not? So
Yeah.
that's that's the positive stuff I will say about John Maddox. And also, I thought it was
Let's just
I forgot what he was saying.
I'm almost finished. Two more words.
No, that's okay. I was just taking advantage of your premise of I'll probably get knocked out for this.
Okay, and the one thing that I did find kind of cringe coming from Jeffrey was when he said that he knew more about a PhD person would know about a given subject. But that's all the positivity I can give. So yes,
yeah, he did say that. But,
yes,
I heard that.
I that was like, whoa, that's a
Yeah.
creationist move. In my
But now, in his defense, that's exactly what they tried to pull during that. Was it the Dover trial?
Oh yes, and I absolutely agree. I agree
They tried
with his
to,
stance.
they tried to pretend they weren't talking about a coder, and yet they would go all around the subject and pointing, under their breath, coder. But we're not going to say it out loud, right? So therefore, it's science. And this Jeffrey was not having any. He was not having it, so he just didn't put up with it. He went right after. And they point out all these people that will talk about DNA as a code. Well, we've been talking about DNA as a code since 1950, probably before that. There were some people shaking the tree. So we've been talking about it as a code for a long time because it's a really convenient way to represent it. Because in a lot of definitions, it is a code. It's a code, so it's a fucking code. Who cares? It's a code. It's like I don't fucking care. It's a code.
That's kind of my thing. Like whether it's a code or not, if I grant the premise that that DNA is a literal code, not metaphorical, but a literal code. That doesn't mean anything to me as far as like getting to a God, a creator, let alone Yahweh. But
it can't be a literal code to me because I was brought up with the definition of a code as being like Icarus said, a cipher. That it's you hide some message in a code.
Oh,
and
I see.
And then in programming, you talk about codes, and there are. Basically, you run into a kind of function called a memoization, which is just a code table. It's a code translator, and it's arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary. So it does not. So DNA is not a literal code in that sense. And the other thing that they keep leaving out about DNA is that only applies to 1.5% of DNA. The encoding part, or the part that has the amino acid code in it, is only 1.5%. The rest has nothing to do with the code. It has sequences that are recognized by proteins, but that's kind of stretching the metaphor way out there. So, so we have to keep in mind that it's only 1.5% that works like a code, and the code is encoded in the strands itself. So it's a decoding mechanism. Okay, the nature of the code is encoded in these the enzymes are basically these oh god, I just said it. I just said it before we went on. Amino-acyl RNA synthetases, which basically create the tRNA, right? So there's something that loads up the tRNAs with a particular amino acid, and that is all in the code itself. So I mean, the code contains its own decoding, which makes it very unlike Morse code or ASCII code or anything else, because those things are completely arbitrary. But this is written into the DNA, and if you modify those things, then you would modify the code. So
look at what Daniel typically sounds like on Tangelo. It demands an explanation. The code demands an explanation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, there are probably several hundred or thousands of papers out there about that explanation, about how that code came to be. Because when you look at those very first two codons, they're statistically significant, and they map very well to the kind of amino acid it is, whether it's polar or it's positive or negative or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of statistics they've done on this to show how that thing could have naturally arisen, basically that it was the only way that it could have worked itself out, so when you look at a river and you look at the twists in a river, you're looking at a code, a natural code that was written by virtue of some rocks being harder than other rocks and gravity and things like that. So you're looking at something that is encoding the path of the water, that sort of thing. Want to call that a code? Does it have to have an intelligent designer? No, we know goddamn well rivers don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, okay. There's more. Where's more? Let's see. So I want to get that part.
It's a metamor.
It's a metamor.
I would like to get your response to this.
Genes.
Oh, here we go.
Are absolutely central to biology. Genes are information. They are coded information. It even looks like computer information. I mean, a chromosome is a great long.
Not to me.
It's linear, runs one-dimensional digital code. It's not binary; it's quaternary. But apart from that, it's just the same as computer tape. It's read in sequence. It's copied and pasted from one part of the
organism. Is that old Chuck?
To another in just the same way as
Chuck.
As a computer programmer would copy and paste. So biology has turned into computer science.
So what's your direct rebuttal of Dawkins?
Well, first of all, that's again a loaded question. It presumes a certain interpretation that might not be exact of what Dawkins' meaning was. But first of all, let me say that Dawkins is an extreme reductionist and makes errors all the time because of that. But if you listen to...
Okay, there you go. Dawkins is an extreme reductionist. He did some good work back in the time when he did it. And I'm pretty sure his ideas are a whole lot different today if he's been keeping up in the field. But using Mr. Dawkins, shall we call him for the time being, as your go-to source, you're talking about a pop fiction or pop nonfiction author, right? That's all. That's what Dawkins is. Why does well, we'll go on here. I think it's coming up at 57:43.
What he said here, he talked about how it is just like, that's metaphorical language, and he talked about how biology has become very much like information, which is true, because that's the metaphor we're using. But in fact, Barbieri, whose name you slaughtered, Gerard Bataille, whose name you slaughtered, both of them wrote books on how...
I need you to respond to Charles Dawkins. No.
There you go. Charles Dawkins.
Good old Chuck boy.
Okay, so now doesn't that show a lot about the way their minds are working, right? Because like I what the hell was his name? Oh, Charles Darwin. Before, I've studied molecular biology for a long time.
Wouldn't it be Richard Darwin?
Richard Darwin, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm
there's
confused.
Chuckster, the old Chuckster. Yeah, he's a gas. I tell you.
But anyway, I can't tell you how many books have absolutely no mention of Charles Darwin. Zero. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Who gives a fuck anymore? It's like, and Dawkins, kind of the same thing. So these two are, kind of in the same stead. I mean, this is supposedly and while at one time Dawkins, got a lot of notoriety for the stuff he did on atheism. Hello, puppy. Anyway, but I mean, they aren't exactly the cutting edge of modern molecular biology and evolution. And stop fucking bringing them up because they're not on our radar anymore. They aren't. I don't know what they're talking about. In fact, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say it's very telling, and I'm not necessarily referring to John Maddox, but it is very telling how many creationists will try to discredit Charles Darwin. It's like, okay, even if everything he said was wrong, we still built a great foundation of knowledge that started with him, at least, even if we grant that he's full of crap. I mean,
yeah, and Dawkins too. These guys did their work in their day.
Right? Yeah.
So I mean, we have great respect for him. Like Darwin was amazing. He would just ramble on and write, and he was prolific. And he would go on, and he said some things. Like I guess he did say the thing about the bear eating bugs, and its mouth getting bigger and turning into a whale. And he later in letters said, "Oh, I really regret I said that. That was dumb." Yeah. But he was constantly criticizing himself for some of the just so stories he came up with. But at the time, I mean, my God, we didn't even have automobiles. We were riding horses back then, right? I mean, did we have electricity? Barely. It's like, I mean, give him a break. God, give him a break. He was prolific. So I mean, we have respect, but God, these people are obsessed with him. Like, like I say, they talk more about Darwin and Dawkins than we ever will. So.
No, if we're doing cross-exam, you have to answer the questions that I asked.
Did you want to say something?
I was just chuckling. That's true. They say more about Charles Darwin than we ever do.
Right.
Like
okay. Here's where the debate really goes south. So okay. Up to this point, John showed a couple choppy videos that did not present well. Nobody could understand what the hell they were saying, and that's the only thing he's really come up with. I haven't really heard anything. And then he comes up with Charles Dawkins here, and and now this happens.
As you don't go, we're talking about Dawkins right now. He said it was a quadrant. He said no. You're not answering the question. Moderator,
question.
Okay.
No. Okay. Then if you've answered the question, you don't get to go on. It's cross exam right now, buddy.
And he said quaternary code, and it's a quaternary code. I'm sorry, but
agreed. So you are direct. So you are directly rejecting the position that it's a quaternary, a digital quaternary code.
Quaternary? Yeah, you kind of said it there.
Are you stating this? He said it was a digital quaternary code. Are you formally
quaternity?
Like a maternity.
A maternity code.
Rejecting that statement.
Okay. We're picking on him now. I mean,
I know this is being.
We all fuck up like this, right? We all fuck up like this in the heat of the moment.
I do it all the time. I can't blame him.
When you shut up.
Are you rejecting that it is a quaternary digital code? Are you formally rejecting that statement? I'll move on to my next question. Yes or no?
Quaternary.
SJ?
Quaternary, like a water. Quaternary. What? Okay. I just can't get past that.
Let me have, if you want to.
We had an agreement that one mic would be on at a time. While I'm answering his mic needs to be off. When I'm done answering, he can say anything he wants, and I won't interrupt him. But please turn his mic off.
I like this
Do you want
guy.
us to do it this way? Do you want us to, wait, let me ask real quick. I stopped the timer, so I just want to ask a quick question. Do you want to do where, John, you had this question, you had Dawkins here. Do you want me to give Jeffrey 2 minutes exactly to answer, and he can say whatever he wants in that 2 minutes?
Exactly. Right. That's what we agreed
hang on.
to.
Jeffrey, I'm the one answering the question that SJ just leveled.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're also
in this context,
and breaking the agreement.
I'm not breaking any agreement, buddy. Hang on.
You are completely unable to control yourself. I
am trying to talk to the moderator right now. We're on timeout right now. We're getting this worked out. So,
SJ,
I would like you to be a moderator, please. In this context, we're in a cross-exam period, and I am asking direct questions. From here on out, I will be asking leading questions with yes or no answers. Okay. If he does not answer yes or no, then we will move on to the next one.
Okay. Did he just say it?
Yeah, that makes out to be an honest interlocutor, right?
Okay, he said, I'm going to be asking leading questions.
Yeah. Holy shit.
That's
real honest of you.
We're getting this
too honest.
It's worked out. So, SJ, I would like you to be a moderator, please. In this context, we're in a cross-exam period, and I am asking direct questions. From here on out, I will be asking leading questions with yes or no answers. Okay? If he does not answer yes or no, then we will move on to the next one. If he wants to answer yes or no and then go on for 2 minutes, that's fine.
Okay,
However,
wait, John, if you're listening, please, you're not supposed to say that shit out loud. That's supposed to be that's the stuff you keep inside your brain, okay? You know, if you're trying to fucking trick somebody, you don't go up there and say, I'm trying to trick you. I'm trying to trick you right now.
Holy shit. Wow. This is just amazing.
When I saw that part of the debate, I thought, wow, he literally said, I'm asking leading questions. Now, to be fair, he did say that the guy could answer yes or no and then caveat it after he answered it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
To be fair, yes.
Okay. Oh my God! But we're not so fair here at Answers Any of them.
Bad interlocutors.
We're dishonest.
But that's a typical Christian, though, right?
Yeah,
they're all about the same. Yeah.
Literal translation process being performed in the right ribosome. You need to go back to we got Daniel Dennett here. What school did he go to?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a literal translation process.
You go to a literal school.
But a literal school. You know, the thing is that when you refer to that translation process and codes and all that, no biologist who knows what the fuck he's talking about is ever going to say literal before that. You do not need the adjective. We all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, when you put the adjective there, you're trying to make another point, and that is what we would call a leading question or point.
Yeah, I would say you're sneaking in presuppositions at that point.
You're sneaking it in. All right. Okay.
Breaking agreements, Jeffrey. This is about the title of this debate is the genetic code literal or a metaphor? So
let's
continue on. Let's get back to this. I will keep my mouth shut if you answered yes or no. If you had, do you know how cross-examination works in a court of law?
Yes or no, I'm sorry.
In a cross.
Oh, wait a minute now.
That's how that works.
How does Jeffrey know that it's leading questions? Because John just told him. That's how Jeffrey figured that out. Huh? You didn't have to infer anything.
Jeffrey's a smart cookie. He was listening.
He really needs to go back and listen to himself once in a while. Really get a clue on what you're actually saying, John. Holy shit.
I did love how spicy this debate was.
It was a little spicy. I think it gets a little spicier, doesn't it?
Yes.
Leading question with a yes or no. I won't do it.
Well, then that's the point. Then you're being a coward.
Okay, fine. I'm being a coward, but I'm not.
You can caveat yourself all day long after you answer yes or no. This is cross-exam. That's how cross-examinations work.
You know what?
And you will get to do the same to me. And you will get to do the same to me for 10 minutes.
I have two.
Now you remember John Maddox once got a parking ticket or something, and he got a lawyer and went to court and fought it. Right?
Yep.
He went out.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yep.
Yeah.
For a parking ticket. Yeah.
Like a $30 fine. And then he said there were other people there with their lawyers too fighting traffic tickets. It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And he told that judge a thing or two. He remember that? Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
yeah,
have
he told-
loved to
yeah.
seen-
He
I would have
told
loved
that
to
judge.
be. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that courtroom.
Oh my God! If he actually said when he described that, if he actually said that to a judge, he would have been in jail. I mean, unless the judge was feeling really good that day, he would have been in jail. No judge would put up with that.
Well, this was Nashville, so maybe the judge had smoked a doobie before.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know.
definitely. Yeah.
What is Stephanie Trenton going on about? She said this Dawkins fella to me is a walking demon. He's a preacher just like all the others.
Ooh,
This is
yeah.
Stephanie we're talking about.
Yeah, this is Stephanie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There may be mushrooms involved. I don't know.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
Yep.
Literally mushrooms involved.
Oh, literally. Yeah. Nowhere did I mention DNA, so then you just admitted that there is a literal code, Daniel Bennett.
Yeah.
Is this really Maddox channeling? No, he's too coherent for Maddox.
Jerks over here, such jerks. But here's the way I see it. Maddox is a jerk, so when other people are jerks to him, it's fair game, in my opinion.
Design disquisitions. What the hell? Okay. Would you concede that? Who's designed disquisitions?
I don't know. That's either Maddox or I don't.
Concede that new
I don't know if it could be Jeffrey or I don't know. I'm kind of wondering about that.
Would you concede that a new function for computer programs require complex and specified information? Well, if you do the function right, no. It would be a nice simple piece of code, I think. Require complex and specified information. Yeah, you got to specify your code. That's why we have computer programmers. That's why they pay us the big bucks. Improbable and conforms to an independent pattern. No. Never conforms to an independent pattern. When you're asked to code something, you code it the way it's supposed to work, right? Not independent. I don't know.
Daniel Dennis been going on about meaning.
Oh boy.
Damn.
Yeah, it implies meaning. Yeah, it means something.
Means an amino acid. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
That's how cross-examination works.
Because you've got no answers. But I will not answer a leading
all right, we're moving on. You will answer yes or no. You will answer yes or no, and then you can have 2 minutes. Yes, you
will do.
No, I won't.
No, here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah,
so,
not gonna do
Jeff, here's what I'm going to do. John, you just presented Dawkins. We want to go back to Dawkins and ask your question again. What I'm going to turn it back on. What Dawkins, what you want him to get at, what you want him to answer, yes or no, or at least just say explain himself. Because sometimes it's hard to say yes or no. You kind of want to offer an explanation, but he has 2 minutes for that. To
he can
stay on the
offer his
topic
explanation
on Dawkins.
He can offer his
I
explanation
will
for 2 minutes.
answer the way
Jeffrey,
I choose
the question
to
was asked
answer.
towards me from
I
SJ.
will
Please be quiet.
answer the question
SJ.
the way I choose to answer.
He must
No,
answer
no.
my direct questions, yes or no, and then he can ramble for 2 minutes all day long, as long as it's
No, I
about
won't
the
do it.
question.
Sorry, I will not answer leading.
Okay. 2 minutes all day long.
Okay.
Caught another one.
Now you're being pedantic.
Oh, I'm really being pedantic now. You can ramble for 2 minutes all day long. But isn't that kind of a mixed message?
You know, I did not.
Because he
even catch that.
means 2 minutes at a time, right? 2 minutes at a time all day long. Okay, I got it. I just want to know how his mind works.
For
We're
24
gonna move on to the
hours.
next one.
You can
Okay.
go on for 2 minutes.
Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, so I'm going to
So-
start. I'll start it again. So here we go. So I'm at
This is
2
amazing. I'm dealing
minutes
with a
and
child.
55 seconds. So I stopped that last one. So here we go.
Genes.
This is the reason why I love biology, though. Biology is self-assembling nanotechnology with a built-in programming language.
Yep.
No other nanotechnology has this.
Yep.
This is really important.
Now, the direct question in relation to that is, here we have a code table that directly maps out the codon, binary, and amino acid alphabets. And we were talking about machine code here. And I want to know directly if you are contradicting and stating that this is not a direct machine language comparison here of and they're being translated into each other. Yes or no, and then you can ramble.
Nothing like this table exists in biology. Okay, I'm sorry, but somebody wrote down these codes, and they did it in a very arbitrary manner. They took the table, and up here where you see U in the upper left, that is binary 0, binary 1, 2, 3. They just counted down. They didn't even map the GCAU to anything reasonable. Like they could have mapped each one to 2 bits, right? But they didn't do that because the mapping doesn't fucking work. I mean, what is he talking about? Where did he get this goddamn table? Somebody pulled it out of their ass. You could have written this in any number of ways. It's arbitrary. That's what humans do. That is a literal code. Humans arbitrarily writing down shit that they think up or they pull out of their butts. It's like, that's not fucking molecular biology. I'm sorry.
Well, what Daniel Bennett just said basically is, I assume this is what they're getting at, that what you said is correct, but whoever put those arbitrary codes and pulled it out of their ass was a intelligent agent, would be my guess, is what they're saying.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You get where
you
that's
can
going,
tell. Yeah, you can tell. You could have started numbering from GGG and gone the other way, 0, 0, 0. You could look at it. There are a couple of these tables that you'll find, and I don't think they're all in the same order. But anyway, it doesn't make any sense. What is he saying?
It is a translation into a code from something that isn't code. That's an abstraction. It just as Jackie was saying, you can abstract a code from it, but that's not the physical. That isn't the physical reality. Or same thing as Carol was saying, it's not the physical reality. Those are abstractions that understand it from the perspective of technological code.
Okay. Okay, you weren't paying attention apparently to the difference between information and communication theory. Information is communication deals with semantics. That was why.
What? He laughed at that.
Say what?
He laughed at that part. Information
Jeffrey?
and communication theory. Yeah, Jeffrey laughed. Yeah.
I just wondered, has anybody watched that conversation between Richard Dawkins and John Perry about is the genetic code a code, or is DNA a genetic code? Is it a real code? Because I wonder, John Perry says yes, but I wonder about his particular reasons why, and I wonder if anybody watched it close enough to be able to repeat his reasoning back.
I have not watched that. I will definitely look into it, though. That sounds like an interesting debate.
Maybe one of our storm chasers has that information.
Storm chasers.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Storm chasers. The official name. Sorry. Ooh, now live on my channel. Oh, apparently I'm live. I just got an email.
You get an email when you go live. That's
I do.
How does that happen? Are you sub to yourself?
I am.
You're like, the joke's on you, girl. I am.
Yeah.
Me and my 300 sock accounts.
Yeah. I want to put, let's see. So this Charles Dawkins, Jeffrey Williams has a YouTube channel called Too Late for the Gods.
I subbed to him today, actually.
Yeah, I want to put that in there. I'll put that in our link. And I like the guy. I think he's kind of cool and dry. I don't know what his education is or what his expertise is in this field.
Right.
Yeah,
but
I want to look them up myself. I haven't had the chance to yet, but
Time to shut her down. Midnight's here.
Yep.
Shut her down.
Shut her down.
Shut her down. Shoot her in the head.
Shut it down.
We're talking about one of your best buddies.
Who?
Yeah.
So you might get upset. Midnight.
Anyway,
Who,
I don't
Maddox?
know. Yeah, Maddox. So I haven't gone over too much more of this debate other than I kind of fast forwarded to this part because mostly it was just bullshit. You know,
Wait, I thought
Maddox.
Smokey was my best buddy, not Maddox.
I thought that too.
Well, they all
No,
are.
he's your lover, not your best buddy.
Smokey's your lover.
Yeah.
Maddox is your best buddy.
What's the scenario? Love. You got one to love, one to fuck, and one to kill. Whatever it's called. Surely somebody's heard of that game. Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Idiot, what the hell do you have on your mind?
Wouldn't you
moving
like
on.
to know? I've got literal codes on my mind.
Literal.
They are literal. Literally.
So then Maddox went and did 2 live streams on this debate.
Yeah, you do.
Review of an insane debate will blow your mind. Yes, it did, John. Thank you. Thank you for being. Thank you for providing us with this mind-blowing fucking tactic of yours.
And for
play a
being
couple-
so honest.
Yeah. So in the last few debates he's done, he plays the same video over and over. You know, his prepared videos instead of actually trying to do a live debate. So
I noticed that too, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
It seems like he's getting a little lazy. John.
Oh, there it is. Just a walking fish. It's marry, fuck, kill. It's this little game you play with others. Like you put celebrities in the mix. Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, and Cameron Diaz. You got to marry one, fuck the other, and you've got to kill the other one. But you get to pick
nice.
which ones. And you can throw out any 3 random celebrities. Anyway. I don't even know how I got onto that. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Midnight. Yeah, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
I'm putting the Dawkins Perry debate or whatever. John Perry.
Oh, yeah. I'll check that out later.
There's a podcast.
It wasn't
or
a
something.
debate. They were just having a discussion.
Oh, were they having a discussion about digital information?
Yeah.
Genes are digital. Yeah, I'd like to know why they keep saying digital because that sort of throws things off. It is. I'm going to push back on digital. I don't know why you would want to call it that.
They're trying to super skew it to therefore God is an intelligence and
Yeah, but
it
a lot
has
of
to be intelligently
They're
designed.
trying to super skew it so they can super glue it into the minds.
There you go. Thank you, sir, for adding that feature. It's a super glued, super skew.
Where did Midnight go? Did he bounce?
Oh, yeah.
apparently. So
He does that
Peter,
all
I
the
said,
time. Yeah.
I said, Peter.
Now we really have to shut it down when Peter gets in here.
Yeah,
Gonna
you're
run
gonna shut her
from
down.
it.
Gonna run from him. So
I might do a stream
this
later.
thing,
After this one.
you know, the thing about in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the thing about calling it a digital code and making all of these metaphors with computers, biologists really got excited when they started seeing that stuff because they thought there was going to be a possibility of computer simulations of biological systems in the near future, like
That makes
really
sense.
soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. It didn't work
Yeah.
at all. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work because things turn out around the 1980s and 90s. We started to realize that, no, it's a lot fuzzier than that. And in the last 20 years, biology has headed in a couple of directions. One is biosemiotics, where they're trying to decipher some of these pathways and make them into something that might be computer simulatable. Is that a word? I just made it if it isn't. But anyway, so they're trying to do that. But the other half of the biologists are really pushing back on these mechanistic machine-like paradigms. And our good friend Danny the Weenie is going to have a talk with a guy named Daniel Nicholson on his channel on the 27th of this month about that very subject, and we've covered a couple of papers. So I mean, there's this realization in biology that things are a whole lot more jumbled up than we thought, and you can't just ignore the jumbled up parts.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
because and the jumbled up parts are nothing like you would write a computer program. I mean, well, some people have written programs like that, but they don't last very long. But they're called bugs. There's lots of bugs in the program of life. And the bugs turn out to be a feature because the bugs are what the mutations and bugs and all the weird stuff that only half works is what causes the evolution of organisms with a varying environment. And that's part of that's the whole theme of what I want to do with this story of evolution that I would like to portray over the next 2 years. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. You know, James Tour, is that his name? Yeah, James Tour. James Tour was saying that, so he was making a point about cell membranes, and he was saying, oh, you know, what they don't tell you is that the phospholipids had to be different on the inner membrane and the outer membrane. And he made a big point to that, and he was like dead wrong about them having to be different. But it turns out they are different. And across all different tissue types, cell membranes vary greatly in their composition in both the outer leaflet and the inner leaflet, which would be the outside of the cell and the inside of the cell. I mean, there's a vast difference. And when you go across species and across kingdoms, there's even more differences, and yet there are similarities all the way through. And it's a very complex thing. And the fact that those cell membranes work that way are why viruses get into our system, also why we could kick a lot of virus ass, kick them out. And it's just extremely complex. And none of it looks designed. It looks like you made cake with dirty pans, you know? And it turns out that the way life works, dirty pans, every now and then you leave some cinnamon in a pan and you bake something new, and it turns out the cinnamon's a damn good thing. And it's like, holy shit, I have a new recipe. And that's evolution. And it's because of dirty pans. It's not because things work like a machine. If things worked like a machine, we would never change. So
right, yeah.
Wouldn't die either. So anyway, that's the point I want to make about biology. But from here on in, we can open up the shitstorm and let the shitstorm begin. Where's midnight when we need a shitstorm?
I know.
Where's Peter?
He just dived.
Yeah. Yeah. And did I piss Peter off? Because I wanted to keep a small. When we go over videos, I've got to pick and choose some of you, right? We can't have more than 4 people in a stream when we're reviewing a video, or we'll foreskin ourselves to death.
Yeah, that's what happens all the time. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How late do you usually go with the weather report? 2 hours max?
No later than 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Central.
Yeah, 2 hours. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. When you said 6 p.m., I thought that's in 10 minutes.
No, not if you live in the proper time zone. No.
Yeah, I have to always clarify that because Speed will not acknowledge anything other than Central Standard Time.
There is no such thing.
You know why, Scott? Because he's such a dishonest interlocutor.
Yeah, he's one of them shitty interlocutors.
Nope. No, it's literally called Central Time. Central. Literally
so
Central.
Is there literally a time zone? That's like, well, that's arbitrarily made up, but yes.
There's literally only one. There can be only one. Yep. It's just time zones. I have missed so many meetings because of going the wrong way with time zone math.
I could imagine. Yeah. I have to. Anytime I go down to Florida, if I go to Panama City, it's 1 hour behind, and so it always throws me off. Especially going back and forth. But,
and then in India, they have one that's a half an hour different, right?
What the hell? I've not heard that. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they changed that or not, but it is not a good thing.
What's funny is if you live close to another state, like within, say, 20 minutes, they typically, if I understand this right, share the same time zone.
Really?
I think that might just be a Georgia, Alabama thing. Hey, nobody talk about weenies.
Yeah.
I like weenies.
I think.
Oh, we know you do.
Let the weenie show begin.
Hey, Danny, did you happen to see that debate with John Maddox?
I did see it.
What'd you think? Was that wonderful?
I already shared my unpopular.
I don't know.
opinions.
I prefer. I don't know. I prefer in a debate that people correspond. I don't like the idea of putting up videos and then having people watch that.
Right.
And what's the point? To me, I can go watch your. I can go to your YouTube channel and find that.
Yeah, I thought that was a little cheap. Or it sort of made it senseless. I don't know. Particularly when the videos didn't work at first. You know, I got a little impatient. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's all we got for today. But there are 3 transcripts available on all of these 3 videos. I should probably get them in chat here or get them in the description. And, you know, maybe we'll take another look at some of the stuff that happened yesterday. This whole code thing it's interesting that it has become such a big thing for creationists. I mean, they don't think that we understand what the code is doing. Or any biology book you look at, any genetics book, they're going to talk about a code.
A code requires an intelligence, therefore the genetic code requires an intelligent.
Yeah. So they want to say, oh, they said the code, therefore it has to require an intelligence. Yeah. No.
They're just trying to make I guess that's just another form of teleological argument.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I just don't understand why they don't make simpler arguments like, hey, look, smoke is information for fire. So that's evidence for God. You know, or intelligent design. Why don't they make that argument?
Have you looked into Pearson by semiotics at all, Danny?
Pearson, the person that wrote that biology textbook?
Charles Sanders Peirce.
Is it the Pearson biology? The same Pearson or no?
No, Peirce.
Oh, Peirce. No.
Charles Sanders Peirce is a philosopher.
No.
And he did a bunch of stuff on linguistics and meaning, and he came up with, semiotics was created by somebody prior to Peirce, and I forgot his name, which is nasty because we shouldn't forget the originator's name. But anyway, Peirce took it and turned it into sort of almost a science. He was kind of like Frege in that he tended to create some notation, and not as bad as Frege, but
not as bad as Frege. Frege's a big
no.
You mean like not as complicated or whatever? Is that
not as complicated.
Okay.
But anyway,
I respect Frege for what he did.
Yeah, I do too. He did a whole Peirce did a whole lot on semiotics, and then in the last 30 or 40 years they've been changing it over to biosemiotics, and I get about a paper a day on biosemiotics, so it's a pretty hot field right now. But there are some biologists that just hate that.
Wait, so this Daniel Bennett guy, he won't come into the stream?
No.
So he's like a tech.
The link's out there.
Yeah. He's like a text bitch. Is that what it is? I hate text bitches.
Yeah, we begged him to come in, and
that's so sad. Why doesn't he come in? I'll talk to him. I'll be nice to him.
I know. I would. Yeah, exactly.
Danny's gonna be nice. I don't know about that.
I'm nice to Christians. I only mean to atheists, right? Speed.
They love you. You got a fan and Cheryl loves you. She hates me, by the way. Cheryl loves you. She said hi to you, but she didn't say hi to anybody else.
Wait, from SJ's stream, Cheryl.
Yeah,
I see her on Praise's stream a lot.
Yeah, she's on there all the time. Yeah, she hates me.
Why does she hate you?
She writes in there, "Oh, David, please don't foreskin." I didn't even say foreskin. Speed did. I never even said it, and she lumps me right in there. Like, she just, I don't know. She's got a thing for me, I guess.
Cheryl's here. Oh my God.
Oh, I don't hate you anymore. You got to put in a good word for me, Danny. You probably know me a little better than her, so
I don't even
you
hear
might
you
have to put
mention
in a good word.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned Cheryl.
No,
I only know Cheryl from Praise's stream, I think. And we've never had a bad interaction. Very light interactions. Like maybe a hello, and that was it.
I have a pretty good relationship with all the Christians except Neff. I don't have a good relationship with it. I don't have a good relationship with Otangelo. I don't. There's someone else. Redefined Living. It's teetering more and more negative as the day goes by.
I had a conversation with him on Praise's stream, and ooh.
But he's been nice to me so far. So, but there's some other Christians I don't get along with. Smokey was the first person I fought with on YouTube, but he's since kind of retracted the sort of attitude that he had towards me. So we get along now.
It's funny for me; it's the exact opposite.
Smokey hates Cheryl, right?
Well, she's threatened a lot of people with her FBI relatives.
Oh, I don't get along with Tony. That Tony guy.
Oh yeah, Tony is.
Wait, who is Tony? I don't know Tony.
Tony Maurice.
You haven't had the pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a little tough to.
Yeah, I talked to him on Smokey's channel, and he was just an asshole.
Yeah, that guy wants blood. He just wants blood.
Yeah.
That's all he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's way more bloodthirsty than I think he's the most bloodthirsty theist I've talked to. I don't think
I think we have Cheryl upset. She can't type now. You as a liar.
Cheryl,
I think she's upset.
What did David lie about Cheryl?
I told you she doesn't like me. Yeah.
Oh, Bond is in the house. I want everyone to refer to Bond as Gurr Jr. Okay, continue, David.
I didn't get along with. Go ahead, David. Sorry.
Read Benghazi's statement there. So I wasn't the first one to bring it up, but I just finished it. And yes, she has threatened people with FBI and.
Come on, Cheryl, just admit it.
Yeah,
just admit it.
Yeah. So.
You know, we all say things in the heat of the moment that we regret forever.
Yep.
And on YouTube, it never goes away. Ever.
Yeah, I know that's the problem.
That's the worst part about the digital world. Is if you say or do something online, oh boy, especially on YouTube, someone's gonna steal it.
Yeah, my great grandchildren will be getting beat up in high school over shit I said, 300 years ago, right?
Yeah, it is, especially with the way morality changes and evolves. It's like what we're saying now. Everything we said in the stream may be okay now, but fast forward 30 years, and we may have said something that will be insensitive.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be in trouble. We're gonna be in serious trouble.
Like the N-word. Wasn't the N-word normal at one point?
Oh my God.
It was, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Now everyone's up and at 'em about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Well, who else do I not? I don't get along with any pre-subs. If you're a pre-sub, I go out. I tend to go after pre-subs the second I hear them, and if someone's not going after them already.
I've only spoke with maybe a handful, like maybe 3. Did not like any of them. They were just they're impossible to talk to. This one,
Go ahead.
At least at least the younger creationists try to give arguments. Pre-subs.
Right.
I mean, they're just intellectually lazy to me.
Yeah, that's the way Redefine is, right? And I mean, he's just,
is he a pre-sub?
And you can't know anything unless you know God or unless you reference God. He's, basically is Dawkins' arguments very similar.
I'm actually going to upload the segment that I had with him on Praise's stream on one of my channels. I don't know what channel I should fit it into because we talked for maybe 30 minutes and he was insufferable.
Yeah, he gets to the point where everything you say is arbitrary and you mean nothing. So it's like, what's the point of, okay, so why are you even having a conversation with me? When you get to that point, that's when you just got to tell them, well, then fuck off. I mean, it's just, it's stupid to even talk to you. If that's the way you feel, why should I bother?
Yes, exactly. And like, this
Oh
one.
no, Daniel Bennett's a pre-sup? Well, that makes things more.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, yeah.
He did say atheists have never refuted precept arguments. Well,
Yeah.
they've never had any really decent arguments to really refute.
Wouldn't
anyway.
they admit that they don't have an argument, right? If you have to start from like.
Yeah.
Which
Exactly.
is paradoxical. Actually, it's just contradictory, right? Like
I would say it's just begging the question on steroids.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend that I'm right for a moment, and then I will give you an argument, and you basically
I'm right, and I can't be wrong, and
except
wrong,
my first premise
you can't be right.
that I win the argument, and then from there on we'll have a discussion.
Yeah.
My first premise is I won this argument. You accept that? Well, you have to.
This one precept that I spoke with, this was a couple months back. He tried to define atheism in such a way, and myself in such a way, where it is impossible for God to exist in my world. And I kept saying, well, no, I do think God is a possibility. I just don't think it's a probability.
Who
and
are
he
you
said,
talking
no, this, and that, and the other thing. So finally I was like, okay, let's just buy that. Continue with your argument. And
who are you talking to?
I can't remember his name. I've got it somewhere on
J. Robin. That's another famous or infamous.
I forget his name. To be fair,
Catholic
he was
traditionalist.
actually.
He's another one. Right?
No,
Is
he's
he pre-sup?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pre-sub.
He is
The
pretty
guy-
awful. Yeah.
I will say this about the pre-sub guy that I was talking about. He actually was nice and charitable in discussion. So I guess I guess 1 out of the 3 pre-subs I've spoken with, he was decent. Still wrong, but decent. And it was right after Catholic Traditionalist stormed away from my stream.
When you say God is a possibility, isn't it true that just about anything is a possibility?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Who's saying that? Wait, who said that?
I said that. I said,
oh, no.
As far as I'm concerned, I think it's possible that God could exist.
The God that the Christian apologists peddle, that's impossible.
I will say that I'm leaning towards that being impossible as well. I always falter on the side of, well, since I don't know 100% of everything, since I'm not 100% certain on anything, then I could be wrong in that 0.01%. Even though
100%. Are you talking about like certainty?
You're right. Yeah, I can't. For me, I don't feel like I can be absolutely certain.
Well, certain is not a function of knowledge, right? It's not part of the formula of knowledge. You can be very uncertain and know something.
Oh yeah, well that's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that. But so I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're just starting with.
No, I was just saying that this guy tried to define atheism in such a way where I couldn't even allow it to be a possible. I don't know. Answer.
What was he defining it as?
I can't really remember. He was using
necessary.
I think he used necessary. Just a bunch of jargon that I don't remember. This was a couple months ago.
Weird.
I was thinking about uploading it on one of my streams just because I thought it was a fun conversation, but it went on for like 2 hours. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to torture my viewers for 2 hours.
So how many people do you normally talk to for like 2 hours straight?
Shit, that's a good question. I don't know, because usually, even though my streams are long, usually I'm never focused on one person for like, say I have a 3-hour stream. Usually there's not one person that I'm talking to for 2 of those hours. Usually it's a mixture.
Yeah, it seems like talking to somebody for 2 hours would be like somebody that is interesting or enjoyable, and you don't mind the 2 hours. Somebody who's
right
tiresome,
well, like
you find a way to back out. It's
like
weird.
Tangelo, I think this was last week. He was in my stream, and of course, everyone wanted to say something to him, and of course he wanted to respond, and that went on for I think 2 hours, give or take. And I was like, oh my God, this is so freaking boring, because it wasn't interesting. But you know me, I will just let the room go wherever it wants to go, and usually I'll step away for a few minutes to eat or something. But that was
code, folks, for get a beer.
Yeah, you know me so well. But yes.
Right.
Oh, and Gerd Jr., aka Bond, I probably will do a stream later after this one ends. Just saying. Bond sounds a lot like me. His voice, his cadence, even the way he says and sounds
Is he
just
from
like
Georgia?
me. I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I don't remember. Because Praise was the first one to bring it up. Praise said, hey, you sound like Bond. I was like, who the hell is Bond? And then Bond was in the side chat saying, yeah, he does sound like me. And they pulled up a clip, and sure enough, we do sound very similar. I sound way more intelligent and witty, but sexy. But he still sounds like me. He sounds like what's the Great Value Gourmania is what he sounds like.
The marketplace brand.
Right, the Walmart brands. Yeah, okay, Bond's from Texas.
Very cool.
I feel like I've been rambling, so I'm going to stop talking so someone else can talk.
Hello.
So anyway.
Yeah. Let me... What? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right, Bond. I called you Great Value Gourmania.
I think Speed must be out feeding a raccoon, or maybe being dragged into the woods by a raccoon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You might be right.
Yeah, he said, "Be right back."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't get your answer, Scott. Do you enjoy all those science papers that y'all review on this stream?
Typically, no. A lot of them are a bit over my head. I just try to figure out what point they're trying to make, when that's the case. Sometimes I can't, sometimes it's just a bit too over my head, but yeah, I do enjoy reading about science issues.
Because you said that, and look, this is not me saying that you ought to have found the conversation interesting. I'm just curious.
Lord.
But you said that the stuff with all the dualism stuff, it's boring because you've heard the stuff so many times, or
I've heard it, but then that's something I would probably have to go away into another room and look at some of the material on it.
I see. There's not much to engage with.
Yeah, so I would need to engage with it privately before I feel like I could engage with it publicly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I could see why it would be boring then.
Yeah,
because to me, I find that stuff hella interesting, but I don't find any science stuff that y'all talk about interesting.
I will say I do find philosophy a bit more interesting in general, even though I am not a philosopher by any stretch of the imagination. But I do find it more like working out my brain.
Yeah, when they start talking about cosmological models, and I'm like, I don't understand. You don't need to ban me, right? All you have to do is start talking about science. Just start talking about genetics. Yeah, just start talking about genetics. Start talking about the universe, and then I'm out.
Hey. We like that.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's everything wrong with it.
I want to throw you out just for saying you don't like to talk about science.
I really don't enjoy science. I enjoy teaching the basics to teenagers because they find it interesting. And I like to see the interest in their face. But hell no, would I just talk about it just for the fun of it?
Danny, do your students ever think that you're part of the classroom and not the teacher?
Yeah, I mean, initially. I make jokes about I'll put a sign on the back of my back to say not teacher, not a student, or something like that.
Well, I will say this: when it comes to science, I do tend to enjoy listening more about astronomy versus biological evolution and genetics and stuff like that. I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, I always loved anything related to the stars and space and all that stuff.
I guess I like hearing about medicine, and how medicine works, and how they like when someone explained to me how the vaccine worked. I thought that was very interesting. But after basic genetics, I'm so disinterested. The disinterest is just crazy high.
So what are the subjects, Danny? Did you only teach biology, or were you teaching other subjects?
I taught physical science. I taught 7th, 8th grade science. I've taught physical science. I've taught biology and philosophy.
Okay, yeah.
And you enjoy philosophy more so?
Oh, absolutely. That's the only reason why I'm teaching right now, I think.
That's cool.
I have my one philosophy class, and that's what gets me up in the morning.
Danny, just a warning, Andrew's going to come in and quiz you about stuff.
Yeah.
He's going to quiz you.
He's coming.
Quiz who about what?
Danny
about stuff.
Stuff.
I think he's equally surprised that there's somebody in the world that doesn't like science. So he just wants to ask you some questions just to see to what degree.
Wait. You're a science teacher for high school kids and you don't like science?
I already explained this.
I'm sorry, I was on a call.
Yeah,
so.
I said that I enjoy teaching it if someone is learning something and interested in it. So like if I tell them about DNA and how it gets to protein, basically protein synthesis, they get really interested. And that makes me feel good about teaching it. But I would never talk about it just for the sake of talking about it, which is what I would do for philosophy. I like to talk about philosophy for the sake of philosophy.
Well, when I was in junior high, we had 2 science teachers, and they drug them out of. They were shop teachers, and also basketball coaches or something, and they couldn't find a science teacher, so they made them teach us. And have you ever sat around listening to paint dry?
Yeah.
I mean, not very exciting.
Yeah, I think generally my class, I think my weakest point is that I don't do enough labs because I don't have I'm not starting from, loving science to teaching. I'm starting from loving teaching and going to science, right? And so
that makes sense.
And so, I need to do more labs. I always try to do more. The funding kind of got crapped on because of COVID, because we usually charge science fees. But I did better the year before COVID. I did a little bit more labs, and we burned magnesium and a bunch of other things that I tried to do.
I just remembered Peter Kroll was a shop teacher, and he taught us, I think, chemistry, and he blew himself up, burnt his hair.
I almost burned myself on magnesium.
It was a highlight. Magnesium is a son of a bitch.
Pulling a Michael Jackson.
But I loved science in high school and the beginning of college. I actually went to International Science Fair. I did cancer research and all that. I thought that's what I was going to do. And then Christian apologetics eventually got me interested in philosophy.
Do you ever have any students ask you either like a controversial or a question that kind of made you uncomfortable?
I never get uncomfortable.
Holy shit, I don't want to talk about that.
No, I always tackle it. I had a kid. I was talking about analyticity and philosophy, which is just meaning. And I don't know how this student got to it, but she's like, is that why they call, I think we're talking about contradictions. She thought that it was a contradiction to refer to a male she. Right. And that's a tricky subject, right? Basically, transgenderism. They were obviously some kind of, they had some kind of problem with it. Maybe some people want to call them transphobic, but it's genuinely did not understand the position. And I broke it down very well, I think. I made it, hey, look, the idea is that people use the terms differently. If what you mean by he is just refers to maleness, then yeah, it's not going to make sense on your view. But some people think that he or she refers to things other than just maleness. And if that's the case, then I don't really see a problem. But it just depends on how you use the terms, and that's what I said. I tackled it right in front. Maybe that wasn't that kind of question. I guess I haven't had any sex questions, like just straight up sex questions. Oh no, I did. My first year of teaching.
Yeah, you wouldn't know how to answer those, would you?
My first year of teaching, they asked me if the pull-out one kid asked me if the pull-out method worked, and I said, "It's very unreliable. It's very unreliable."
Fair enough.
I didn't flinch though. I mean, the thing is that if you flinch, then it's awkward, right? If you're saying, "Hey, this is science," you know, the reality is that you need like a birth control or some kind of, you know, for your best odds. And really, there's no birth control that gives you 100%, but pull-out method is like 50%, right? 30%, whatever. I think I said something like that. I guess that was the weirdest question I ever got, but the kid actually wanted to know. He was like 15 or 16 years old in 8th grade, so you can imagine.
Hey, Danny, do you think DNA is a literal code?
Literal.
It just depends on how you use the term code. I mean, it seems like I know where they're coming from. I mean,
I'm trying to get you in trouble with John Maddox, depending on how you answer.
Do you understand my point, Danny, that when they put that qualifier literal in front of it, that something is up already? You know, I mean, if you say
you're right there, I don't think you. I mean, it's either a code or not a code. If it's a figuratively a code, it's just not a code, right?
Right.
So you don't. I mean, that's like it reminds me of the no true Scotsman fallacy. You know, where like, well, all Scotsmen do X. Well, I know a Scotsman that does Y, not X or something like that, and they say, well, that's not a real Scotsman, right? So it's just kind of it's redundant to put literal code.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to another shoe is going to drop, basically, if you say literal code. So if it's literal code, then he is referring to one definition that he has in mind, and you don't necessarily know what that definition is.
Go for you. What?
For me, a literal code would be something like a cipher, you know, which is the second definition, I think, in the dictionary, or is it the first? If you look up code, it has a definition. One of those definitions is encoding information in order to hide it, to, you know, basically, or to transmit it. You know,
I think it's totally legitimate asking LPP what he means there. A lot of those people that for DNA arguments, when you ask them, what do you mean by code? They take that to be a disingenuous question because it's just obvious, right? But I think that that's the job of the philosophers, to ask the obvious, the fundamental questions, right? So that you can really come to a safe conclusion. But yeah, I think now to defend, maybe to think about where he's coming from, is that sometimes LPP does deal with obtuse people, and the emphasis of literal code might make things a bit clearer for the person that he's talking about. But you know, I think that there is something up when I hear someone say literal, you know, literal anything, right?
Here it is right here. The very first definition is a system of words, letters, figures, or other symbols substituted for the purposes of secrecy. And then it's also called computer code. And nowhere in here do they talk about something that would more resemble the molecular code, you know, of the codon. So anyway, when they say literal code, this is what I'm thinking they're referring to. And if you're referring to that, then no, there are no letters in DNA. That's not how it works. We assign letters to them. We like to think about them that way, but they're not letters. They're molecules.
I just wonder. I wonder why they don't. Okay, like to me, it just seems like this, right? If a cloud spelled out the word cat, you know, which is not inconceivable. You know, that is a word. Okay, it's totally fine to say there's a word in the sky, but who the hell is going to think that the agency is behind that, right?
Yeah.
The point is that you can't just say because there's something that seems to represent something else that therefore, like, you know, we can infer, make an inference to an intentional explanation. Okay, well then the difference becomes the level of complexity, but they don't. I think that that's actually a big mistake, right? To say that, well, okay, Danny, cat spelled out in the clouds is very different than what's going on in the cells and the nuclei or whatever. But okay, so then they're suddenly appealing to complexity, right? But if they appeal to complexity, then God would need to be designed, because God is way more complex, right, than code or anything physical, right? They want to say God is the unfathomably complex, cannot be even. A lot of them want to say that can't even be understood by human beings. So, well, but that doesn't demand another intentional explanation or series of infinite regress of gods to create one another. You know, so I don't think they can appeal to either. They can't appeal to the fact that there seems to be some kind of representation, or the fact that it's utterly complex. Otherwise, on one horn, you're going to have to admit that on one side of the pencil, you're going to have to admit that things that are spelled out in the clouds have intentional explanations. Or, on the other hand, you're going to have to say that God is probably designed by an infinite regress of minds or something like that. You know?
Yep. Yeah, I saw something written in clouds once, but it was like blue Easter egg. I think was the brand of LSD that we had taken. But I had this amazing experience with the clouds were communicating with me, and there was like this ram sound, and at one point I could actually see it written in the clouds, and it was anyway. Kids, this channel does not advocate any of the shit I just said.
So, Danny, would you agree that when LPP uses the word code or DNA, that he's in fact begging the question of God's existence?
Well, not unless he's making an inductive inference. If he's trying to make an inductive inference, then he's not begging the question. He's not, right? But you're right. If he's defining code in a way where, like, in the very concept, there's an intentional explanation built in, absolutely, he's begging the question. But he never argues for that inference. Okay, he states the inference, but he never argues for it. So he kind of just stops. Doesn't he just stop at, like, what's more probable? Like, that's what he's done to me, is that, like, well, what's probable on your view? I'm like, you know, like, that you're supposed to give me an argument for why I should accept one line of inference over the other. But I mean, I have to say that the last 3 times I've debated LPP, it's been pretty good. It was a pretty good exchange, but we disagree with one another, and that's I'm just framing that disagreement. Yeah, I'm looking forward to someday having a talk with LPP that's actually sensible and calm and respectable. Well, why don't you keep on doing the whole ox stuff on your stream? I bet you'll get to that eventually. Oh yeah, I think so. You know, I have great hope that he's going to actually have a conversation with me. I mean, he has really been. I've appeared on a couple of streams and he's disappeared within 5 seconds, and I don't know why that is. But he came on here one time raging at me. But yeah, I think there's you've teased a little too much. If your goal was to have that kind of conversation,
yeah,
I wouldn't call it a goal. It's just, you know, sort of a hope for, you know. I see. Like, if it happened, you'd appreciate it. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tease him until he gets until he shows up and has an actual conversation. Andrew, where are you? I've been waiting. Yeah.
I am surprised that LPP hasn't come into your stream, Speed. That does surprise me.
You always apologize, and then the one thing you do wrong, you don't apologize. You told me you're coming, you're not here.
Well, we do have one thumbs down. Maybe that was him.
I apologized. I apologized to him.
Oh, wait, that was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Damn you, Scott.
No, I am going to step out. I might come back if it's still streaming.
You got to go start a stream, do you?
I'm not going to start it until this. I'm not going to premiere it or blah. Fuck it. I'm not going to start it until this one ends, but yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, he said that yesterday, so we really don't know anything.
This is true. You can't take anything I say seriously.
Yeah, you did say that yesterday.
Hey, yes. I did tell this one guy, Wolves Do Apologetics. I told him I'm going to have a stream all about him tonight. And so I said that thinking I might do that, but I'm actually not going to do that because I want to talk about John Maddox. But I bet you he's looking at his notifications left and right, waiting for Germania to talk about him.
Yeah.
because that's the kind of guy I am. All right, y'all have a good one, and see you later. And if anybody wants to come over to our channel, go for it.
So Andrew is coming in momentarily. I mean, like momentarily.
Yeah, Andrew's coming in now that I'm leaving because he's scared.
He's scared.
Or you're the same person.
Grr. I mean, what do you think? That's going to scare people. Grr.
He's scared of my amazing intellect, my
That's what it
brilliance.
is.
He's like,
He
I'm
is.
too scared to talk to Germania. I call him Andrew Going. All right, I'm shutting up now. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, girl.
Goodbye,
Bye, loser.
world.
Bye, loser.
I think.
Bye, loser.
Bye, loser. Bye, loser.
I think Peter is mad at me.
Well, I don't know. Don't forget, he's what, 12 hours different, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere
Y'all don't
10
have
hours
any.
or something, so.
Y'all don't think Peter's a moron? Y'all really don't think he is?
No, I don't.
He's such a. He's one of the biggest morons. He's nice. Seems like a nice guy if he likes you, though.
I like Peter.
Yeah.
But when we review streams, we're not going to have more than 3 or 4 people because we can't get anywhere. And there's there are certain people that bring a lot of content to the stream, and Peter's one of them. And when you're trying to review a stream content,
What does he contribute? What does Peter contribute?
We're not going to talk about that, Danny. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Danny, you would have been proud of me on Girl Stream. I got Peter pretty good.
Oh, you got him?
Yeah, I got him pretty good. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that later.
You're going to have to answer to Andrew Going.
Okay, Andrew. You're forgiven, by the way, for being late.
Who said I'm late?
No, I did.
You're on.
You're on, Andrew.
What am I on for?
You're up.
You asked me a question in chat, and I wanted to understand.
You wanted to talk to Danny, yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't think you really wanted to go into that much, but okay.
Oh, my God. Just ask your question.
Yeah, I know. It's like pulling teeth, right, Danny?
I know. It's just.
It is.
Yeah.
What are we at, the dentist?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question was, because I guess you're a lot more into philosophy than I am, into the nitty gritty of it. So in your opinion, because I know that you're not a philosopher expert or anything like that, but like in your own opinion, do you think there's a way to isolate rationalism from empiricism in terms of how we gain knowledge?
What do you take empiricism to be in the first place? Because that's a weird question.
Okay, I guess the methods involved with the senses, I guess is how I would put it.
Empiricism is the view that our concepts originate from experience. Okay, so it's the idea is that if you have a concept of 3 and you're an empiricist, the way that you've come to that concept is by experiencing the world.
Okay,
so rationalism is going to take is the position where if you have a concept like 3, and they might say that there are some concepts that are begotten from experience, but they're going to, on some level, say that there are built-in concepts in agency. So one may have the concept of 3 a priori, innately rather, and it's not the case that you had to experience anything to come to get the concept.
Yeah, and that's
okay.
I
guess I was defining both in a different, or maybe, or I was thinking of different concepts then, I guess.
Yeah, that's there. A lot of people use the word empiricism incorrectly if they are trying to use this notion of empiricism that philosophers use. A lot of people think empiricism is a view called verificationism, which is the view that knowledge is begotten through verifying through the senses. But empiricism is a little bit more fundamental than that. So verificationism is not empiricism, right? Because an empiricist can accept a priori knowledge, right? Because what they're going to say is that once you've gotten your concept of 3, right, you can make inferences about it. And those inferences were a priori, not a posteriori.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I believe so, yeah.
So, like, for instance, and let's just take a unsophisticated principle, verificationist principle, that a statement is meaningful if and only if you can verify it. So take the statement that a thing is itself. Okay. An empiricist might disagree with the verificationist, saying, hey, you know the law of identity, or you know that you can infer a bachelor is unmarried just fine without verification, but they're going to say that the way that you've come to know what a bachelor is in the first place is via experience.
Okay.
So that's to say that empiricism is not the same thing as verificationism.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, an empiricist would accept things like mathematics because they lead to a good explanation of what is perceived by the senses, or at least.
What they would say is that all of your fundamental concepts to do math are begotten by experience, but then once you've gotten your, I guess, basic concepts of numbers and whatever, you can then make inferences a priori, and those are, of course, a priori. You don't make those inferences because via a perception or an experience.
Right. Well, I guess the way I was trying to phrase the question was trying to ask, is there a way we can gain knowledge? Or I guess what I was trying to ask was, is there any real way, any practical or just real way that we can gain knowledge in a way that's isolated from our senses?
A lot of people think yes. Another way to phrase your question is there a priori knowledge? About 90, maybe I think 85 to 90% of philosophers say yes. Okay? That there are things that we can know independently from experience. How
would that work?
Well, you don't need to experience. I mean, a lot of people take the example of mathematics, right? That, or people take metaphysical questions like free will, right? They would say that free will is not something that you know via experience, right? You have to like argue for it based on your notions of agency or whatever, right? And you kind of start with that, being an agent. It's not like you experience something such that you found out you were an agent. You kind of start from, oh, I'm an agent, and then you make inferences from, okay, what is an agent exactly? Oh, well, there's this thing called will. Or reasons, right? Can you have that without agency? Doesn't seem like it. So it seems like what an agent is a thing that acts on reasons or behaves on the basis of reasons. And then people make inferences about reasons to freedom. But at least I do. But the point is that traditionally, mathematics, moral truths, metaphysical truths, traditionally people say that you don't know those via experience. I actually think that moral truths are ultimately known via experience. I actually think it's an a posteriori issue. But someone like Kant thought that it was an a priori issue.
I think I would agree with Kant on that. But things that are a priori, basically, I always look back to the birth of your brain. Basically, your brain started out as not existing and sort of differentiating from a zygote, and then it becomes imprinted with various concepts. And sure, you can take those concepts later on after you've acquired a whole lot of information about numbers and mathematics. Then you can go ahead and you can construct new knowledge just by thinking.
That's very rationalist thinking. That's not like you wouldn't be an empiricist by that measure.
Well, but it would be a foundation and some sort of empirical existing in the world and shaping your brain according to the world.
You're using the terms differently than when people have this dialectic.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, like, yeah, it's an empirical fact that you exist, but I think there's a sense in which that's true. But all I take rationalism to be is that, do you have concepts in virtue, do you have innate concepts? And for you, innate just means imprinted in the brain. Well, that counts.
Or imprinted in the body. You know, there are innate concepts there too. And I think morality is that is the source of morality. It's imprinted in our bodies, in the structure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are sympathetic to that. And I think that if I just translate it in my own terminology, yeah, I think that there are certain concepts I have that are not begotten from experience, like naming concepts of the self, I think are not, I don't experience a self. But there are certain, so I think that dialectic is kind of flawed. I don't think that, I mean, you could define rationalism in a way where like you can incorporate that there's some concepts that are begotten from experience, then I'd be rationalist. Someone that destroyed that dialectic, kind of like said both of them were wrong, was Kant. I mean, technically, I guess some people wanted to brand him as a rationalist, but traditionally, he went against the Cartesian view of innateness of concepts. He appealed to this thing called intuition. So he distinguished between a concept or an object, really, given to you by having experience versus coming from experience. He made that really critical distinction. Right? By having experience, you know something, versus by having experience, you then have maybe something from the outside is known through the experience, not from experience.
Can we pause for just a moment and acknowledge Dr. Josh is in the room?
Hi, Dr. Josh.
Hey,
we had a question.
What do you have to say about all this? Have you been taking this all in?
And we had a question from Dr. Josh, didn't we, yesterday?
I mean, I have a question for you guys. It's just one. Do you sin?
Yeah.
This is a thought.
I would like to commend you. I would like to commend you for your ability to pick on our panel members and also having a little fun with our audience. You definitely deserve a prize for that. You did. You're definitely very, very good at that. From
one of them was going
to. The plaque will read the plaque will read the nicest bully on YouTube.
Yeah. You had a little fun yesterday, didn't you, Dr. Josh?
Yeah, somebody got mad at him yesterday. Was going to time him out, I think. Or
yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was Top Dog. Top Dog didn't really appreciate what you were saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But as far as what we were going to ask Josh yesterday, I can't recall, Speed.
I can't recall either. Damn it. And we are not good. We are not good at this, Scott.
You know, rational empiricist always sins. He always apologizes. You don't ever, I mean, like, he definitely sins. If the answer, trying to answer your question.
I never.
Hey, Randolph.
Because I'm absolutely perfect.
Well, if I can actually believe that statement, Josh. You don't have any argument for me.
Yeah. So Danny, you were saying earlier that you're super into cosmological models.
No.
I know. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic here.
I like cosmological arguments, but not models. By the way, I mean, not that it matters, but I didn't know if you're aware that I do, because you said that I'm not an expert on philosophy, but I don't think that would make me uncomfortable. But I am getting my master's in philosophy, and I already have a bachelor's degree in philosophy. Yeah. So
congratulations in advance, Danny. Congratulations.
There are better authorities. Congratulations on what, Randolph?
Congratulations in advance.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I hope I don't fail out. Now if I fail out, I'll have an incentive not to fail out, because I'm like, I already got congratulated, so I got to go through this.
That's right. You got to earn that congratulations now.
Hi, Randolph. How goes the studio building?
He just muted himself. Now he has to unmute.
Yeah, he doesn't like you.
No, he doesn't like me. No one likes me.
Maybe he's
Because he
Doesn't
realizes that he sins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he realizes all these things. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Speed. Oh,
Hey.
sorry. Are we ever going to go over some of the ridiculous things that Dr. Grady said on SFT's show the other day?
Yeah. Did we get a transcript for that? Did I pull a
I
transcript?
don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. It's like, God, there are so many things that we need to go over. Oh, great. Yes. Oh, yes. That guy, Grady. Oh, my God. Is he a piece of work?
He said 2 really dumb things about natural selection and nested hierarchies. And
Okay.
it just drove me crazy.
Okay. I'll pull a transcript and link you on it.
We can go over that some other time.
Grady McMurtry. What is he a doctor of again? Was it?
I have no idea.
Forget.
Hey, Leo.
Yeah.
Did he get his degree at the same place Kent Hovind got his?
I think it was next door, pretty close, down south somewhere. Anyway. Yep. I don't know. Yeah, that was amazing. Let's see. Is a transcript available? It is. A transcript is available, Andrew. I will pull a transcript and link it to you.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Josh, what mobile home did you get your PhD from?
I call it Dwight's PhDs.
Is that like a fast PhD place? You pull up and you order at the.
I like your haircut, Leo.
I've had my hair cut like this for like a week.
Okay,
You're just now
but it
noticing?
looks good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I know
haven't
it
been
looks
on?
good.
What are you talking about?
I was on yesterday, I think, or the day before,
Number
one of the
12.
other, and I'm pretty sure you were
my
in
God.
here. Anyway, you seemed interested. Speed, Grady McMurtry, who's absolutely hilarious to watch try to debate people. It doesn't say what his degrees are in, it just says what his degrees are and where he received them from. He has a BS, I don't know from the University of Tennessee, an MS in I don't know what from the State University of New York. Well, wait, okay, no, I was about to say State University of New York. I was about to go which one, and then I read Syracuse. And he had DD from the School of Theology, Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, a DD. Is that a Darth Dawkins?
That's probably a Doctor of Divinity.
You know, that's what I was thinking too. I've always thought that the BS initials were quite unfortunate.
That's why I say either BSC or SCB.
We pointed that out yesterday.
That's
degree
perfect, actually. Which I prefer SCB because that's the traditional ski and ski baccalaureate, I believe, which is Bachelor of the Sciences from Latin to English.
Dr. Josh is 3 degrees above 0.
3 degrees above. Okay.
Yeah, be careful because I have a BS in religion. So.
Yeah. That's appropriate. That's
Did y'all get the
appropriate.
science joke? Okay, there's for scientists, people here.
3 degrees above 0. Yeah, I got it. That was funny.
No, I didn't get that at all. I really didn't. I
remember that for when you're a dad, Danny.
What?
Remember that joke for when you're a dad.
Okay. Are you a dad, Scott?
I'm a granddad.
Oh my God, you're old.
Oh, okay. I figured out what his degrees are in. His undergraduate degree apparently is in agriculture. He majored in forestry, and his master's degree is in environmental science. And his doctoral is a Doctor of Divinity in theology. So yeah, if it's not like forestry or environmental science, he's not really qualified to be speaking.
Did it say what he wrote his doctoral thesis on?
What?
I'm guessing it's paganism.
I almost, or I saw you guys were talking about LPP earlier. I almost joined the. It's kind of funny. I was trying to join the stream, but then just as I joined, or joined the StreamYard, the stream had ended. But anyways, so does anyone know if LPP and maybe you can answer this, Leo? If does he still hold to ideas or cosmologies where the speed of light is not fixed over
I don't know if he holds to that at all. I've never heard him. Personally, I've never heard him advocate for those, but that's not to say he doesn't support them.
Does anybody know an argument that he does support or he's made?
Arguments from design.
He thinks DNA is code.
He doesn't ever actually make the argument. He just talks about how ridiculous it is not to accept his point of view.
Well, that's what I was saying in chat. His whole shebang is basically it's
yeah.
so obvious.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
really
that's
an
his whole
argument.
argument. It's so obvious, yeah.
He never tells you how
when you look at it,
B.
When you look at it a little bit more deeply, it's obvious that he's running teleological arguments, which fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wish he'd give me more to work with. You know, I mean, more of an argument to actually critique. But God, it's just he's so slippery that way.
Well, he did once make an actual argument about phylogenetics, and we took that on, and he hasn't responded to it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so
disappointed in.
Ox tried to specify Danny's joke. He said average temperature in the universe is 3 degrees above zero. No, that's not correct. The average temperature of the vacuum of space is 2.73 Kelvin above absolute zero. Kelvin does not come in degrees. It comes in Kelvin.
Oh, man, Ox, you got wrecked.
Man, Ox.
There's no negative kelvins, as I understand it, as well.
No, there's not. There's 0 Kelvin, and then I don't even know what the highest you can go is.
Yeah, that's.
I think theoretically you could just keep going, but I think that the maximum temperature that allowed by the laws of physics is I think like 10 to the 32nd Kelvin or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that'll cook the rice pretty fast.
You wouldn't have rice.
Like I said, really fast.
There you go, Andrew. The transcript to the McMurtry thing.
And whose debate was this?
This was just SFT and talking to this Grady.
Because I was going to say, I watched a debate between McMurtry and Aaron Raw, and that was fucking hilarious. McMurtry,
really?
He's so funny to watch in debates because
I didn't know there was
know
one.
what the fuck he's talking about.
I gotta look that one up. That sounds like fun.
It was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, I was on Bread of Life this morning, and I actually, I think I pushed back on Matt Dillahunty. I wonder if that's going to bite me in the ass, but
it shouldn't. Pushing back on Matt Dillahunty is probably the better thing. It seems to indicate, the ability to think for yourself instead of blindly following leaders of your community.
Yeah.
Matt Dillahunty doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
Matt Dillahunty promotes free thinking.
Yeah, that doesn't mean his supporters necessarily follow that.
Do you think a Christian is not free thinker or something?
Well, there's that whole that dogma, though.
There are people who approach me and they want to follow me, and I tell them that I want them to think for themselves. When you're in some kind of a role that you're in charge of an organization or representing something, there are people who are just going to follow no matter what it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
That's true of education, though, right?
It's really difficult to make blanket statements about Christians. I was asked to do that this morning. And
it's really difficult to make blanket statements about anybody unless they're anti-vaxxers or anybody who's anti-science. Then blanket statement, they're just dumb.
Well, actually
especially
on
the
that
anti-vaxxers,
note,
I agree with you.
What about anti-math people?
I don't know what that means.
An anti-vaxxer told me just last week they sent me a threat. They're going to sue me because I disagree with them. And the money's going to come, to get this, the money's coming from a secret legal fund that is provided by Andrew Wakefield.
What the hell?
I told the guy he doesn't have my permission to sue me, and I haven't heard anything since.
No, yeah, just tell him no. Yeah, can't do that.
Did anyone happen to watch Dr. Dan's video last night?
I don't think so.
It was it was basically one big argument, and it was pretty good. It was a bunch of examples of how creationists are now some creationist organizations are trying to push back against anti-vaxxers when in fact they kind of created the monsters to begin with?
I don't know. Anti-vax rhetoric. Jesus fuck! I can't speak properly today. Anti-vax rhetoric generally started probably, or at least initially, was more prominent in left-wing circles. The anti-big pharma, they're trying to poison and kill us all people. And the only reason we see it so prominent within the right wing now is because it was pushed by people like Donald Trump. And these people are a group of people where it's evidently very difficult for them to think for themselves.
Well, like I guess I should have specified. He's basically making the point and using these examples to showcase how if you think in terms of the way creationists do, then you're going to find more pseudoscientific options, basically, because you've been trained to think that way.
Do I got the right video here, Andrew? The one that's up on the
yes, that's the one.
Okay.
So everyone go check that out.
In the description.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
by the way, Randolph, yes, I have both of my vaccines because I have an IQ in the triple digits.
I'm trying to get
I was just kidding, Leo, because you're saying you can't speak. I was saying, oh, did you get all your vaccines? That's what it was relation to. I was just trying to...
Have they approved boosters yet?
I don't believe so. The FDA is a little hesitant to do that, and like all of the medical professionals are like, yeah, see, this is why we don't like the FDA.
Yeah. Yeah, they do slow things up a bit. But yeah, I'd like to go get a booster, but they had them in Minnesota for immune compromised people, and I didn't know how to lie about that, so I didn't go in and get it, or I would have lied about it.
I do know that Moderna is trying to work on a third COVID booster that's tied in with a flu vaccine so that you get both at the same time, because they're expecting that the boosters, when approved and allowed to be given to people, probably won't happen until, the October, November, when the flu season really kicks in. And now that there's people that are vaccinated against COVID, it's probably not going to be quite as severe this winter. We'll probably see a resurgence in the flu. So, that also depends on, how well we continue. Like, the reason the flu dropped so drastically last year was because everybody was wearing masks, social distancing, and staying home. And all our surfaces were consistently being sanitized. And it makes you wonder, how healthy would human society be globally right now if we'd always done stuff like that?
Yeah.
Worn masks during a flu season.
Yeah.
Take the extra precautions to wipe down, countertop.
I think I'm going to keep doing that because of the flu, because the flu sucks, and so do colds.
I was thinking about it actually, it was probably more like the other week or a few weeks ago, and I was like, think about it. You go into a store, how many people in that store that don't brush their teeth and smoke cigarettes and have nasty ass meth mouth? I live in Iowa. Go in there and hack up their lungs and cough and sneeze in that store. And then you walk in that store and you're breathing all that nasty shit in. Like, why the fuck would you not want to wear a mask? You just want to breathe in all that nasty ass fucking smoker's lung and meth mouth that's all over the fucking store. That's gross as fuck, dude. I'm going to probably keep wearing a mask in places for the rest of my life. I don't want to breathe that into your nasty ass fucking, I haven't brushed my teeth in 3 weeks because I've been up as in high for 2. Fuck that. That's it's nasty.
The other thing is, if you're a parent and you have children, it's the same as inviting a bunch of rabid raccoons into your house. I mean, they're little disease vectors. Somebody was commenting on that yesterday. My son told me about it, but he had maybe a cold every year or 2 years. And then when he had kids, he ended up with a cold every week. Or there was 1 week out of the year when he didn't have a cold. So children are like raccoons. I don't know if you knew that, but
I sure as hell wasn't.
Well, a little disease vector.
No, I got in my childhood, I got sick. Well, how would you define childhood? I guess is the first question I'd have to ask.
I don't know.
Up to 18, or would you consider it
13?
Yeah. Okay, so from the time I was 13, I got sick where I was puking once in my life. No, twice. Once when I was very, very young, and then once when I was 6. I've had the flu like maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. And
So,
I'm 20.
so when I was a little kid, I had the flu just continually, and it was horrible. And I barely have had it as an adult at all. So,
and see, the thing is, like, I just don't get sick. Like, yeah, it takes a hell of a lot for me to get sick. And I still went and got both my COVID vaccines because, again, I have an IQ that's in the triple digits.
I did all my sick, I think, when I was a kid. Developed immunity to every damn thing, including apparently heavy drug and alcohol abuse. I don't know if you have antibodies for that, but I must have them because I ain't dead.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've
We have
been
3
sick.
minutes.
And when I got my vax, I didn't like feel like a lot of people say the second shot kind of makes you feel crappy, and some people got sick, and I didn't feel
anything off of either of mine.
I got tired.
I just had a sore arm. I had a sore arm the next day from my first one.
Yep.
I had a sore arm the same day for my second one, and that was it.
Yeah, mine was the same. Exactly.
I got really tired from both of them, but I didn't have any other symptoms at all. No fever, nothing. Just tired. I just slept, it just knocked me down a little bit, as it should. And I kind of handle that. I handle colds the same way. They just make me tired and I go to sleep. That works. Anyway, we got a shooter in the head, guys. It's that time of the day.
Where did the time go?
Where did
Into
the time
history.
go? I don't know. Anyway, who did we lose? We lost Dr. Josh. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
nice of him to
That's
pop
Walt,
in for a
probably.
while.
Time to shoot it. Time to shoot it. Okay.
Bang, bang.
Jordan, that was about.
Shooting it. And I
don't think anybody knows what reference I was making.
Goodbye, cruel world.
What was it called? Swamp People, I think. Oh my God, I'm glad they put captions on that show because if not, you couldn't understand what the fuck. Of course, when you only have like 4 teeth in your mouth and like half your tongue, you're probably not going to be able to talk properly, are you?
Swamp people? Oh yeah, that's kind of like South Carolina, man. I went there once. I didn't understand a damn thing those people were saying to me.
Will they have swamp people there?
Yes,
No,
definitely.
I'm talking about a show called Swamp People, which is about, I don't know if I only watched it like twice. I don't know if they were like a family or what they were, but it was a group of people that like did a bunch of like gator hunting and shit like that down in the swamps.
Huh.
Oh, it was like a reality
And
TV.
there was one episode I was watching where the one dude's trying to get this one chick, her name apparently is Elizabeth, to shoot the crocodile, and he says, Elizabeth! And I'm just like, the fuck, dude?
Leo, I remember seeing ads for that show. That's about as close.
Oh my God. Oh, it would be. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out an episode. I always watch at least one episode of those crazy ass reality shows. It's just just to remind me of what country I live in.
The one that I couldn't stand was Duck Dynasty, and that's because the guys on that
Oh,
show,
my
especially the main dad, I don't know. I don't think it was Pat. I think it was Phil. It was Phil. It was either Phil or Pat. Was the main old like the patriarch of the family, and he
got into some trouble.
I don't know what if he's gotten in any trouble or legal trouble or anything. I just know he's not a very intelligent person. But if you've ever watched that show, I'm not surprised by
those Duck Dynasty guys were endorsing Trump at the election, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've also
That says a lot already.
Then there also have take very anti-science stances. Yeah, they're just not intelligent people. But if you watch the show, that becomes evidently clear that they're not very intelligent people.
Okay, wrap it up. Goodbye, cruel world. We're out of here.